Jump in, jump in, jump in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am John with a J.
And I'm Bodhi Ray.
And this is
the Bodhi Brothers.
AKA the Bodhi Bros. Whatever makes it feel good when you say it. Brothers, bros, potatoes, potatoes. So here we are with episode numero 5. Number 5, for those of you not in the know. This is the high five episode. This is the hello episode. This could go so many ways episode. But today we decided, shortly after last week's episode, to review a personal favorite, although we had not watched this video before, because every week this particular individual, spiritual teacher, spiritual catalyst, world famous, renowned, respected, and incredibly inspiring fire of a blazing inferno, just being. Like, that's all I'm going to say. Teal Swan, ladies and gentlemen, is our highlighted teacher of the week. And her video, she releases a new video every Saturday. Gosh, without fail, really. I mean, maybe she's missed 1 or 2 over the years, but we're talking like a 10-year career here. And every Saturday she puts out free content on YouTube. She also has premium content available, yada, yada, yada. But this week's was called Kindness, ... the Cure For Hostility.
Very appropriate for what's going on right now with everything. There's never a time when kindness is not important. And I also have something to share too, something that kind of bridges last week's with Ram Dass to this week with Teal. And I don't think this is something I ever really told maybe one other person. And it was something that happened around, I guess maybe around beginning of June or so. I had a dream. And I had a dream, I was carrying something very heavy. And I didn't know what it was. I was just really tired, heavy. And I set it down, and it was Ram Dass in his wheelchair. And he was slumped over like he was passed out, and I was, nervous. I was like, oh my God. And he opens one eye and he smiles at me and he gives me this, smirk, and he starts laughing. And the dream is me and him sitting by the ocean. All we're doing is just looking at each other's eyes. And it's just this immense love. It was something that I've always kind of wanted, just to have that personal time with me and him, to sit there and just be in the moment together. And we're just looking at each other. And at one point in the dream, he changes. And he's wearing this bright teal shirt and these bright teal sunglasses. I mean, the sunglasses are bright. Even like, I remember the lens was as bright as the frame. And he had this big, goofy smile on his face. And he's just looking at me. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, that's weird. And then, like, it only was for a few seconds. And he kind of flashed back to how he looked before. And I don't really remember much of the dream, but I remember waking up and I felt this huge feeling of love. And, I was a little teary-eyed and everything. And I remember thinking back, like, I wonder what that was kind of weird with the sunglasses and the teal shirt. I'm like, that's kind of strange. Well, lo and behold, a few months later, me and you are in Utah with Teal. Wow. And I completely forgot about that dream. I wasn't thinking about that. And then it wasn't until maybe near the end of that trip, I was thinking, like, oh my God, that's what it meant. The teal shirt and the teal glasses. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he was kind of letting me know, maybe somehow putting in my mind, my subconscious, like that should be my next step.
Yeah.
Or maybe give me like a little sneak peek into my, my next part of my path, or giving me a blessing, his blessing or something. So I just thought that was really strange. I didn't realize it till later. I just thought it was a weird part of the dream that I couldn't figure out.
What a unique and beautiful connection you have with that very beautiful being in your life, man.
Yeah, so you could say like Ram Dass guided me to Teal.
Oh yeah, totally, man. Like that's neat. And you and I to each other, which leads me to something I forgot. I mean, we try to cover everything every week, but I forgot one thing. And when we stopped, the record, and we were summing up and just throwing the talk back and forth at each other post episode, I was like, I feel like I forgot something, but my note card was empty. I scratched everything off, and it wasn't until an hour later I was like, damn it. And it really just plugs into what you just said too. When, he talked in the last episode about when he left that person in the hospital that was sick, that the first hour was difficult, and like it wasn't, because they had their walls up and all this stuff or whatever, and without getting too much into it. But when they left each other, they were both ecstatic, because they allowed themselves to be vulnerable and just real and authentic with each other in a way maybe the two of them had never imagined they could or would. And there's that feeling. And I feel like when we met each other, because of the work that we were doing at this particular workshop / training, if you will, there's no other way you can show up with each other if you're doing it properly. It's all about unconditional presence, attunement, and a love for one another. And that's the way you and I met, man. So like when you were leaving in the car, I was teary-eyed, because I was like, there goes my brother, man. Like I just met him, man. Where's he going? Where's he going, man? It ripped me apart, because we live on other sides of the country. I mean, it was bittersweet. It was nice to find that, but there was an ecstasy there, because it was like, man, this is I struggle. I always have with men, and I'm like, this is a guy I feel safe with. This is someone that instantly I wasn't worried, or I wasn't like, what's his agenda? If I reveal all these raw things inside of me, how is he going to manipulate our relationship? Or this, it wasn't even there, because we were both there for the same, I think, wonderful reasons, and that's the way we got to meet. Just to give you a little background history, folks, and what has led us to today, and that's Teal's latest video. For those of you not in the know, I'd say a few things about Teal, and then you can do the same thing if you want, Ray. She's been just relentlessly, fearlessly sharing her story, her insights, her downloads, her art, her content, which is just endless. You can go online, tealswan.com or YouTube, and she does workshops both online and when the world was open and will reopen again. We'll be doing them abroad. She has a retreat center down in Costa Rica that I've been to. It's just amazing. She's just doing incredible global work. And the completion process is something that we've gotten certified in. And it's a trauma resolution practice that you can perform on your set. Start off as a book. You usually have it nearby. It's not in reach right now, but you can get that on Amazon. I think for
maybe we should probably put the link for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be in the link below the video, the completion process book, and maybe a link to a video where Teal talks about it in summation. It's maybe like a 5 or 10 minute video. I can drop that link as well. And yeah, it's just a lot of, she does a lot of great, and what I was leading toward was the book was originally one of her missions is to make sure that people that can't get the proper healing, that don't have the resources available to them, can get the type of work. What am I trying to say? They can administer that type of healing on themselves, and the target audience being the incarcerated. So she initially wrote the book for people in prison, so that they can.
I didn't know that.
In there, yeah. She wanted to be able to distribute the books for free, and she's done that to a certain degree, and I'm sure she'll be expending more and more resources upon that particular directive as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, it just makes sense to me. You're in the cell all by yourself. You don't have any access to any therapists or people to work with you and coach with you, and you can have this book and take yourself through this process of healing. I think is just such a great mission. But that's just one of the many things she does. Ray, you got anything to say about Teal?
Yeah, I think it's
talk about the video?
the completion process is sort of a form of shadow work. It's a way of dealing with your subconscious traumas, the things that trigger us emotionally, which is all, we all linked to the past. And it's something that I can't think of one person who wouldn't benefit, because the majority of obstacles are from our childhood that stick with us. And you could try the light and love and force your way through those things, but it doesn't really work in the long run. You have to look at all those things. You have to face all those obstacles, all that stuff that you have repressed inside you. And if you don't look at it, it never goes away. So this is a method, a tool to use to do that such thing. And I know it's really changed my life since I've started implementing this. I mean, I just cleared a whole bunch of stuff recently with abandonment issues that I didn't even know I had. That came about to my my past relationship. So I wouldn't even know that was there. And if it wasn't for the completion process, I probably would have still be dealing with those issues. But now, because I had that tool, I was able to go in and trace it back to the root origin of when all that happened, and give myself that love and compassion that I didn't have back then. So it's definitely something worth checking out. Getting the book, maybe when she starts doing retreats again, take that workshop for yourself, people out there, and or go find someone who is certified and that could help guide you through this.
Share something super exciting with you, and also terrifying. I feel like that's my life, the roller coaster of my life. It's always electrifying and equally terrifying in the same breath, but I don't think I'd have it any other way. So when you start having your awakenings as an adult, and you discover these new teachers or these healings, and you yourself undergo these transformations, whether they be physically, emotionally, spiritually, altogether, whatever, you want to share it with the world. And especially the people that are most near and dear to you. But a lot of times that doesn't work out very well because they're not ready to receive it, or they think you're wackadoodle or whatever. And
right.
But the person that I most wanted to connect that wisdom with was my daughter, of course. I mean, like, knowing what she suffers with, and just how how much she battles with her day to day, right? Just trying to keep it as general as possible without sharing her information, right? But it didn't work, right? Like, hey, I've got this book, or hey, I've got this process, and it was like the worst thing I could do, because she just didn't. She didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to, even though I'm making changes, I'm physically shedding weight and getting stronger and go from no money, no house to new relationship. She wasn't ready. And I just got some sage advice from some good people at very different times, but it just, the echoing got more and more loud and became more and more present. And I'm like, all right, I'm listening. Fine. Got it. Just let her do her thing. When we heal ourselves, you become this magnet. And the more I just worked on me and doing the completion process on me and not sharing that information with anybody else, man, right after a session, whether it's with a client or on myself, I'm talking the same day, maybe an hour later, at the furthest distance the next day, I get a text from my daughter. And she's not a texter. She doesn't pick up the phone very often. And it just always tickled me that it came right after work that I did on myself. And it was never about, hey, Dad, I'm ready to do the completion process. But it was always like her reaching out to connect. So, which led me to believe, I'm like, this is working. She's not, in the past, when I don't want to say force my agenda, but really amplify my agenda upon her, right? And just be like, this is what we're like, my diet and the foods that you're eating are poison. That would just scare the shit out of her. Like, what are you telling me? I've eaten this food. You brought me up on this food. Now you're telling me it's poison. It's confusing. It's like too much, right? And so as I took a step back and just led by example, I'm going to lead my life. I'm going to eat these foods. I'm not going to eat these poisonous foods anymore. She's going to see these transformations or feel them like the Star Wars Force from a distance. Like,
it's kind of crazy. Like the transformation happens when you start loving yourself.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting out of that. When you start loving yourself, that kind of came back to you.
And so yes, emphatically
they
yes.
say the best way to love other people is to start by loving yourself.
And I never got that, man. I never got that. I'm like, okay, yeah. But I'm good at loving others. I'm good. And she gets into that in this video, and I'm glad that we're opening the door to this conversation because we're definitely going to revisit it. But to lace it all up, Ray, the other day, she said, and it wasn't out of nowhere. It was after I'd done some work on myself. She's like, I'm ready to nothing's working for me. I want to look into the things that have worked for you, because she was at a place of desperation, right? Yeah. And so yesterday, I took her and her boyfriend simultaneously through the Safe Haven meditation. And for those of you that don't know, that's the beginning. That's the first thing you do when you're getting ready to do completion process work, is you set up a safe haven, and it's the end of a completion process practice is you and your inner child end up in the safe haven. That's how you close out the session. Well, anyway, I just wanted to set that up with them so they understood that part. We had limited time. So I am going to do the most terrifying thing and the most, like I said, electrifying thing by taking my daughter through the process, Ray. And as you know, this is like walking over a minefield, because most of her traumas are going to be because of her mother and her father. There are, other things that'll come up. So that it's going to be a challenge, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but she came to me and she has the confidence in me that we can handle this together, and we'll see. I might, after one session, be like, I can't do this, and have to refer her to someone else, of course. But I did let her know that things are going to come up that are going to maybe make her angry at me, and she might see me in ways that scare her, or that she has denied, disowned, suppressed, whatever, right? But that's okay. And I think that just by itself is kind of cool for a father and daughter to have that open, raw relationship, to be able to explore the traumas together, versus her having to go to a stranger. And that's what she said to me. She said, I could go to a therapist or do other types of work or whatever. She's like, but I don't want to do this. She's like, for some reason I'm called to doing this with you. And that just blew my mind, man.
But well, yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. So, well, doing that's a kind of a good segue into what this video is about. This kindness, which is, as she described, the antidote to hostility. So hostility is basically when we're in survival mode, when we're in, I guess you could say, first chakra consciousness. And when you're in survival mode, you're really only thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
And so really kindness is a way to get back into the hearts. And she gives, a list of, she gives a list of archetypes that most people are in when they're in survival mode. One is a war general, one is a manager or boss, a victim,
cynic,
and a loner, someone who withdraws. So those are different ways, different archetypes that we try to protect ourselves from hostility, from danger.
So because we're all fragmented individuals and we lead with our protector parts out front, she said that we're basically navigating around in a world full of protector parts interacting with one another, and that's right. That's not authentic. That's just this happening over and over and over again.
And I like the part too where she said how when we're all in defensive mode, we're perceived as being offensive.
Yep.
And so, I mean, it makes sense. You know, everybody has their, especially right now, a lot of people are divided on certain issues. So you have somebody trying to defend one part, one aspect of something, and because they're trying to defend it, they have their shields up. And because they're trying to defend their side of an issue, somebody who doesn't agree with that sees it as offensive, so they put their shield up, and it's just rah, 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 back and forth. It's like it's like a ping pong. It's like tennis, back and forth, back and forth.
Not seeing, not hearing each other, not feeling each other. I got to see, feel, and hear people that I didn't know for one of the first times in my life through taking like a Tai Chi class. It was a free class offered locally, and we did this thing with our hands where we just like, I forgot what it's called, like push hands or something like that. But there's no pushing involved. So that's, I don't know if that's the right term, but anyway, you pretty much dance with someone's energy without forcing your own movement upon them. So you're really just listening to them, but they're listening to you. So you create this relationship that's just eventually, hopefully, like really fluid. And the people that were more practiced in it would tell you, they would look into your eyes and they would say like, you're not listening to me, because you're pushing too much or whatever. Like just soften up. And it's just about trusting each other and just being in that moment and flowing. And I'm not articulating it exceptionally well because I only did it a few times, but it was beautiful. So if you ever have the opportunity to dance with Tai Chi and that particular type of exercise, please seek it out. It was eye-opening, heart-opening.
What she was saying too about how, about being in defensive mode and being perceived as offensive, it kind of reminded me of what we talked about last week with that quote by Kabir saying, do what you do with another being, but never kick them out of your heart. So it's okay to protest. It's okay to debate, argue with somebody. You could disagree with somebody, but still keep them in your heart. Still recognize your connection to them. Still see them as a soul, and you're a soul. We're all part of one thing. And I think that's, very important, not getting so caught up in the melodrama of what's going on. And that's, we get so caught up in our stuff and our issues and our dramas that we lose that, and we end up hurting other people and causing damage and consequences that sometimes we can't come back from, or have a hard time, difficulty coming back from. So protest, argue, stick to your sides, but still do it in a way of love. Live through the heart.
Yeah, for sure. And she mentions making a point of trying to see, like when we're out and doing our things and it's blatantly obvious that this person, much like all of us, are leading with our protector parts because the world's a terrifying place, and it's escalating more and more these days, and it's just, there's so much uncertainty and fear and all this stuff. So when you go out, she challenges you to see or to seek the vulnerable part behind that protector part in people that you interact with. And then taking it a step further, how would you treat that part in you?
Right.
So try to identify, what's hiding behind, that particular lead role, whether it's, the cynic, the general, the war general, et cetera, the victim. And then
when she said that, it kind of reminded me too of, I'm sure you've heard that they say that hurt people hurt people.
Mm.
So when someone's hurting you, it's because they're hurting themselves. And the reason, in order to have that compassion, that forgiveness, is to look and see, well, why is that person causing me hurt? I think you said, what's the vulnerability behind that? And like looking into my life, when I was hurting my relationships, that's one way I was able to get through it, was that, we talked before, my ex-girlfriend, she cheated on me, and then she tried to string me along. And that's what hurt me. She was trying to string me along while she was cheating on me because she wasn't sure about going back with her ex. And I realized she was just doing that. I looked back because she was afraid of getting hurt again by him.
Right.
And it doesn't excuse what she did at all, but it helped me to understand why she did what she did. Was that she was looking out for her own benefits at the expense of me, but I could understand why she did what she did, because she was vulnerable. And she didn't want to let go of me because wasn't sure if she was safe enough to go back with him. But in order for me to sort of let that go, I had to understand where she was coming from, why she did what she did.
Right.
And that kind of helped me, at least kind of helped me get over it and see why it happened, why she did that, and was able to help myself let go.
That's a big relief, man. That's a big, awakening for us all to step into, should we choose to do so. And she talked about, stop trying to love people and start trying to understand them, which kind of echoes the sentiment that you just said. And I've heard Teal say that before. She takes a step beyond the hurt people, and she explains that they're not trying to hurt you. And this stuck with me. I heard this from her probably like a year ago. This is one of the things that I keep in my back pocket all the time. She says that people are not trying to hurt you. They're trying to make themselves feel better.
Right.
They just hurt you as a result of making themselves try to feel better, right?
The way you can look at it is everybody does everything to make themselves happy.
Right.
Everything you do is in an effort to make yourself happy. But there is an enlightened actions towards happiness, and there's unenlightened decisions. When you understand and you love everybody and you take them as a part of yourself, that's enlightened action towards happiness, because you don't want to hurt that other person.
Yeah.
Because you love them. Somebody who's unconscious of that is going to make decisions towards happiness that are going to affect and hurt other people. And like you said, it's very difficult, but it's almost, you can't take it personal, which is very hard, because they're doing the best they can from their level of consciousness. And maybe if they knew better, maybe they would make better choices. But it is what it is, and sometimes it's hard, because we think, I would never do something like that, right. But you're not that person.
This was, she, in her fashion, the only way that she can deliver it, it's gentle but with conviction, and it's soft but with piercing remembrance upon your soul. She says to make a practice of kindness versus asking the world to be kind to us first, right? And giving to give, not giving to receive. And she also mentions that we are quite, these are her words, transactional when it comes to kindness, like right. The expectation, but just being kind to be kind. So those random acts of kindness, those talking to the cashier and brightening their day, talking about maybe their earrings, or asking them how their day is before they ask you. Their program is, hi, how is it? Did you find everything you're looking for? And maybe initializing that conversation. A lot of them are wearing name tags. Calling someone by their name is always a song that most people enjoy hearing, acknowledging them and looking into their eyes. Simple little things, holding doors for people, for all people.
A lot of times it's those little things that matter, that someone's day, that, could really brighten up someone's day, make them somebody happy. Like you said, letting somebody into traffic or open a door for them. And, it's like a lot of times when we say we're having a bad day, it's usually really small things that kind of like tick us off. You never notice that? It's usually like, oh, I'm having a bad day. I got up late, blah, 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 blah. And it's usually like maybe two kind of small things, but the reverse is also true. If you do a couple small things for somebody, acts of kindness, that could really change someone's day in a positive form.
Yeah.
And like you said too, you're not giving in order to try to get something. There's no agenda. That's what I think it is. You're being kind without agenda. You're only being kind to somebody, making somebody happy because their happiness is your happiness. Because I mean, that's what feels good. Most people say, why do you like doing good things, helping people? It's because it feels good. I'm not, I do that. I like making people happy. I like helping people because it makes me feel good. I don't do it to get something back, get a favor back, or get, money or whatever. That's just manipulation, or that's just,
Right.
that's not kindness, So
Or someone showed you a random act of kindness one time, and you referred to them as an angel. They showed up with bags of groceries when you were starving, and you didn't ask this person for anything, but they showed up, and they're coming out of their car and they're walking toward your house, Ray, and you haven't eaten in a day and a half, and she knew because she talked to a friend or she saw you, and she knew you were struggling, and without any expectation. And you know what? I haven't seen this woman since she delivered those groceries to me. She's a dear friend, but I haven't seen her. But man, I will never forget that moment because I didn't ask. I didn't put a post online saying, I'm starving, someone bring me food. She just knew, and she showed up with so much beautiful, healthy food. And that took me to the next place, that got me to through the next days, and really just relit my fire, man. So even if you're a very introverted person, and you struggle with interacting with people that you don't know, like the cashiers or the service workers, or whomever you should stumble upon, and maybe even just come up with something creative that's something different than "Have a nice day." Some little one line of poetry of yours that you'd like to share with someone that that pulls them out of that robotic, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you?" And you say something like, I wish I'm not introverted, so I just kind of play in the moment of what's going on, and then I'll say something. But a lot of times, something along the lines of, "May the rest of your shift go by effortlessly and most expeditiously." And people love that because they're like, God, that's what I want right now. I just want this shift to end, because retail's hard, man. Working in a grocery store's tough. It's grinding. And maybe you say
I know
something
all
like,
about that.
"May the rains of abundance fall heavily upon you." And it's corny, but at the same time, it's different. And they're like, I want some abundance. Please let it rain. And you've given someone a blessing in the moment. You've said something different. You've taken the time to pause and say, you're special, and may the rest of your day be extraordinary.
It's personal.
Yes. Do that. Do more of that.
And also too, what you said about introverts. Something that I do sometimes at work is that I am a Reiki master level Reiki. So a lot of times what I do is I will send Reiki loving energy to people throughout the day, and I kind of like to zap people with love, and I'll just send people love, like doing that. And after a while of doing that, it does make a difference. Like I have seen positive results when I send somebody energy. Even sometimes across a room, somebody I don't know, I'll send somebody a hit of Reiki, a hit of like love, and they'll turn and they'll look at me. It's like it's one of those weird things that people, we can sense energy, we can sense the vibration. So just sending good vibes out to people, how hard is that? Doesn't really take that much, really. And that person doesn't even really have to know. You don't have to say anything to them. You don't have to interact with them if you don't want to. But just doing that's
huge.
big too.
It's huge. It's huge. And for those that don't know what Reiki is, or don't practice Reiki, or aren't Reiki enthusiasts, it doesn't matter. Teal talks about in this video just doing exactly what Ray said, but sending kindness, So whatever that looks like for you, whatever that feels like for you, and for Ray, that's Reiki. That makes sense for him. Maybe it's just thoughts for you. Maybe it's visuals for you. Maybe there's no words or disciplines attached to it, but sending someone kindness is profoundly transformative for you, for them, for the world. It's you're elevating the frequencies of love and connection all around you just by making that choice with your free will to, instead of sending fear to that person that did X, Y, and Z to me, instead of injecting or projecting what you think is their agenda and the overlay of all the paranoia that you can just dump upon people and circumstances, whatever, and then quickly shift, catch yourself and say, not bulldozing your fears, not being love, light, and laughter, but and that's what Teal says. It's not abandoning those parts of you, but making the choice in today's day and age with your free will to say, I am going to send kindness to this person. I am going to send waves of kindness to these people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Man, you will see it. You will see the shift in yourself. You will feel the shift instantly. As a totally terrified little boy / human being man, I never really thought I would prescribe that to anyone or subscribe to that practice. But man, it's made a big difference in my world, and just softening myself up. And she says that kindness does not make you vulnerable. It does not make you weak, stupid, permissive, or naive. This is her words, that these perceptions are inaccurate projections. Like, people that cry. Crying is a sign of strength in my book. I don't know about yours, brother, but when people can be genuinely kind, when people can cry in front of you and show their emotions, and this is what I've been trying to tell my daughter too, and it's helped her transform her world with her intimate family, with just sitting at the dinner table, being able to tell her family, this is what I'm feeling right now, has alleviated so much pressure and strain on her, because she felt she had to show up in a certain way, right? She felt like she had to keep that anxiety in her, but just by being authentic with the closest beings in her life has helped her immeasurably. So what a gift we can give each other just by saying, hey, I'm sad.
Right. I think what that goes along with is providing a safe space for somebody.
Yes.
To be able to express their feelings and be authentic. Because most of the time, the reason why we're not authentic is because we don't feel safe enough to be that. We feel that we're going to be criticized or judged in a certain way. So allowing yourself to be open and authentic and showing kindness allows that person to feel safe enough to express themselves and to open up. And that's pretty much the best you could really do for somebody, in my estimation.
God, it really
just to do that.
It certainly is, man. I love to hear these stories, man, especially when it comes from your loved ones, and just to hear that that's the equation, Ray, is that simple. Just allowing each other to see each other's emotions, but how rare it is boggles my mind. A few years ago, I wouldn't know what you were talking about. What do you mean, feel my feelings, or you want me to see your pain? Like, what does that mean? But now that I understand that, I'm not surprised how rare it is when someone says, I don't have anyone in my life that wants to see my pain or feel my pain, or my entire family won't allow me to express my emotions. What does that even mean? Well, we know what that means, but folks, we are in a new age here, man. We are in a time of, this is the most important thing that we can do for each other, is just allow one another to say, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy. We're not just welcoming in the good vibrations, man. We're not just welcoming in the positive emotions. We are showing up for one another in ways that no one's ever showed up before. And it's that easy. I say it, when you see celebrities or athletes online, they say, well, you can do anything you put your mind to. And you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. You have your millions of dollars. It's easy to say. It's that easy. You can do whatever you put your mind to. That's the same conversation. It's exactly the same, but different, but the same. Just let each other be.
Right. Just be
Damn it.
authentic and
Don't damn it.
kindness with no agenda. Open, present, being safe to allow another being to be who they really are. You know, without trying to push your beliefs, your ideologies onto them, but allowing them to express their truth. What more can you do for another being than that? To me, that is the same. That is love. That's what love is to me. It's allowing that. So that's beautiful, man.
She
I think
talks about
what Teal said too is, it's taking someone's best interest and acting kind accordingly. So you see what someone's best interest may not be may not always be your best interest. It may not be always what you want, but because you see them as a part of yourself, you may allow that. You may allow them to speak on something or have a disagreement with them, and let them know that they're safe to disagree with you or have an opposing view, that it's okay. If they're angry, it's okay to be angry, to show that anger. So I think that's all. That is kindness, and all that is what alleviates hostility, because when you feel safe with somebody, you're not in survival mode anymore. There's nothing to protect. And she said that sometimes we have to be the ones that I think you may have said this before, we maybe have to be the ones that lay down our shields first, to lay down our sword first. And maybe we have to be the ones that have to be vulnerable and show that it's okay, lead by example. So other people know that it's okay. There's a quote by Rumi that says, that famous quote says, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I am changing myself." Look how we're going around fighting, causing suffering in this world, wanting to change it. Are we really changing it for the better? I don't know. But, if we go inside ourselves and deal with those triggers, those emotional triggers that we hold inside of us, and each of us takes responsibility for ourselves, to me, that's how we create that change. We each have to deal with ourselves individually first, and then be that expression of that truth and show up for that and display whatever that is.
That is the most powerful way that we can stimulate change. I mean, it's been said in so many beautiful ways and so many different cliches, but I'm here to say that without jesting, that I've seen it firsthand. I've exhaustedly as a youth tried to change the world and tried to do it in ways that had nothing to do with me, and the results were just futile. I mean, it wasn't until learning how to love myself and work on myself that the results just were astronomically different. It was just, Teal also shares that he or she that masters resistance becomes the master of life. And that's just it, man. That which we resist, persist, Carl Jung. I mean, there's the key, in conjunction to what you're saying, the things that we resist in ourselves, that's, man, when we can become masters of all the resistances, the things that we are resistant to. And that's it's an interesting term when you explore deeper and deeper. What is resistance, and why do the things in my life persist the way they do? It's all resistance, man. And when we can face those things, and all this stuff that's happening around us is important, and we should invest in our communities and each other. And we're not talking about abandoning anything, but what we're talking about is prioritizing the work on ourselves and watch
Right.
how that profoundly changes everything and everyone around you. And if we all could do that in unison, wow, what a globe we'd be spinning, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just look at like let's look at how you said when you said you worked on yourself with the completion process, and you said as soon as you're done, how your daughter contacted you, you
yeah.
know. But imagine if we all did something like that. We all dealt with our trauma and how that all would interact. It would just, you know, because resistance just meets more resistance.
Yes.
But openness,
And
where
think
once
of,
we're open, you know, that's when the resistance drops.
and think about the ancestral traumas too, man. When you're healing those, come on, there's a force that connects us all. You know, we are this universal oneness. But as far as your family's concerned, when you start doing this work and you start healing that ancestral tree, and the leaves start to come full and alive again, and the tree starts to strengthen, you're going to get those phone calls from people, man. I'm telling you, you're going to get those text messages. That connection, whether they live on the other side of the world or not, it doesn't matter. We're all connected. And when those things, when you take the time to love yourself in that way, that you become a tractor beam. Trust me, to connection and to helping. That's when you're able to start helping your daughter heal in ways without, you know, impressing your agenda upon her and shoving the poison food conversation down her mouth. Like, that's just pushing them away. I've learned all this stuff. I mean, it'd make anyone go, my dad's a crazy man, you know, versus
You know why that a lot of times what that is we try to put our agendas on people because let's say something helps us.
Yeah.
And we find something that helps us and we try to we want to do that to help people. But what they're seeing is that we're not accepting them as they are.
Yes.
That's what it is. Because they see that, okay, yeah, that's great. That worked for you. But you're trying to force that me. That means I'm not acceptable the way I am. And to really change somebody is to accept them as they are. Even if it's not how you want them to be. Even if they're doing stuff that's, you know better that, you know, the completion process would help that person. But they have to come along that themselves. You know, it's their journey. So.
Today I bring the elephant.
Oh, Ganesha.
Yes, usually it is the monkey, but today we have elephant medicine. For those of you that relish everything as being a sign when it comes into your path, and that it's all sacred and connected. You know, when I see someone raise an elephant mug to their mouth, I instantly reflect on what elephant medicine might mean to me. So.
Ganesha is the remover of obstacles.
You know what? Very apropos to today's conversation.
Right.
Removing the obstacles of our protector parts and revealing the inherent kindness within all of us so that we can connect. And, you know, she had another quote that I don't want to leave out that I thought was epically awesome. And that was, well, two things. One was her quote, and one was another one that she shared that I didn't have the time to look up where it's from, but I could put that in the description below as well. We could find out where that quote originally emanated from. But this was hers. The more aggressively we try to protect ourselves, the more hostile the world becomes. So by doing this, by getting ready for whatever and facing the world like this, we're just, that's what we're putting out into the world. That's the way if that's the way we attack our everyday, then every day's a fucking battle, man. I mean, it's tough, and yes, it's scary, and there's so much terrifying things going on, but this, meeting it with this is not, it's not the recipe for harmony and unity and connection.
Because you're gonna perceive everything as a threat, even when it's not.
Right. Gosh, that's been the story of my life, and how horrible I feel looking in the rearview mirror going, how many people did I needlessly push away and harmfully just propel from my experience, because I was just terrified. But knowing now that I can meet everyone and every experience with kindness and transform that, it's a powerful thought. I mean, it's a beautiful idea, man, and it works. And so,
even going back that the last week with Ramdas, even doing that practice like he did, and this prayer table, using people that you connect with easily with love, could be parents, could be holy people, and having a person or situation on the end that you have difficulty opening your heart to, and practice opening your heart, going down the line to the people that you have the easiest chance of opening your heart to the least. And trying to use that, practice opening your heart to that person you have a difficulty forgiving or accepting, or even not even a person, it could be a situation, and just practice that.
I love it. I've been doing it since last week, more and more frequently, and it just really fosters such an inner peace, man. Where that thought of my something of my mother or my father would come up, and instead of meeting those thoughts or those feelings with rejection or repulsion or just resentment or any of those things, I just take a breath and I say, let me send my mom some kindness. Let me send my dad some waves of love or whatever. And it's gosh, man, it's just so transformative. You breathe, you literally breathe easier, and you smile, because what does the other thing do? I mean, I'm sure it serves you, and you should never bulldoze your feelings, yes, but you can also add these feelings to your collection of what's going on inside of you, and let them dance together and see how that plays out. And she said,
Let's go at free will. Oh, go ahead. I don't think I have that part right now, but she talks about free will, that we have the choice to.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm headed. And that's that quote from that other person that we need to discover who it was. She says, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it." And she said, "There's many misinterpretations of that. Not to bulldoze yourself, not to that people are that hurt you, that you should instantly forgive, but that you have the free will to meet hostility with kindness."
And to me, that's what real alchemy is.
Ooh,
alchemy is changing lead to gold, and that's what it is. It's taking the hostility, taking that negativity, running it through the heart, and having it come back out as love, kindness. And that's, to me, that's what a true spiritual warrior is somebody that could be in a situation that's negative and hostile, and just transform it. Be that light. Be that light in the world, and let that kindness from the heart come out, and be that example. And it's tough, it's really tough, especially if we have our triggers and something gets under our skin, and it wants to put us into defense mode. And it's not that we bypass the defense mode. We recognize it. We recognize it's there. Just because we go into defense mode doesn't mean we have to go all the way, sink into it. But we meet it, we bow to it, and we say, okay, thank you, but I'm choosing love instead of fear.
That's very, very, very well said, sir. Thank you for bringing light to it in that way. That makes it infinitely clear as far as a gentle approach to the topic is concerned. It's a really, really well spoken. On that note, shall we?
Oh, I was just going to say.
So this is the deck of the day. Last week, my bad, I forgot to pull a card. But this is the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. And I will, before our session started, Ray asked for a card, and Ray got a card. It was really cool
Yes.
because Ray and I are super aligned. We got those synchronicities popping off all the time. Rhino Brothers for life. And he got the number 1 card in this deck. They're beautiful cards. This is the backside. Show you. Here's an example of one of the cards, the Witness. Ooh, really beautiful cards. And Ray got the number 1 card after some shuffling and some dancing. And
Ancient.
and when the reading was complete, it was 111. So that was kind of cool, we thought. Who knows? Maybe the number 1 card pops out of here again. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe it'll be the 5.
But maybe what? Like it was for the 3rd episode when you pulled the number 3 card. No pressure on the card puller here. So, all right. We knocked out the old, bringing in the new, pounding it on the Bodhi beads in the heart, if you will.
Give us some kindness.
So, totally. Some energy. Yes, yeah. Let's all put some kindness into these cards. Ask a question. Don't ask a question. Just be open for a message. If you're watching this right now and you're not into Oracle cards, you're about to get a message, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or disagree. This is a message for you. So turn the other way if you don't want the message or if you're scared of the message. But this is for all of us, whether you're watching it today, tomorrow, or a year from now. This is our card. Boom. No freaking way. Holy hell.
What was the chance of that? Out of how many cards?
This is I don't know how many cards. It's a thick deck, man. It doesn't say on the box how many cards, but guys, this is a lot of cards, man. Like, wow. Holy crap.
That's the one you picked for me, Ancient Ones.
So I've read this once, which will make it easy to read the second time. This is holy shit, Ray. Really? Wow. Although I'm not surprised. All right, so the Ancient Ones, which we thought was a cool message, and now get to share it with you. All right. So the way the book reads here is there's an essence, an invitation, and then the medicine. So the essence of this card and this reading today is the Ancient Ones are the shamans of old who defeated death and escaped from the tyranny of time. The Ancient Ones once walked the earth like us in flesh and bone. Now they reside in infinity, and can counsel us after we say yes to our calling. They are available to help us attain our full realization. Here's their invitation. The Ancient Ones are inviting you to reach to the future to help birth a new destiny for the earth. Go ahead, find out who you are becoming 10,000 years from now. If you accept the invitation, great power and blessings will come your way and allow you to craft a new destiny for yourself. Do not hesitate to bite off more than you can chew, because you have unlimited spiritual resources available right now. And then finally, the medicine. The Ancient Ones beseech you to examine your attitudes and actions and be sure that they are of the highest integrity. Not forgiving an ancestor or yourself is keeping you from the freedom you seek. Remember, this is no longer your karma. You can break the chains that once bound you to the family drama and be free of your generational curses. Forgive the ones you need to release. Honor your biological ancestors by lighting a candle to them tonight.
Pretty appropriate with forgiveness and kindness.
Let's talk about that too, Ray. Let's talk about forgiveness, because Teal does talk about that and has talked about that in the past, and mentions it today. That because a lot of people go, we need to forgive, we need to forgive, we need to forgive. Let me be clear. Teal doesn't preach that we need to forgive anybody or anything at any time. So, what are your thoughts on forgiveness?
I think forgiveness is for yourself. It's not really for the other person. Forgiveness is a way of letting go. It doesn't mean that you condone what happened or you're going to allow it to happen again. It's simply just, it's an act of loving yourself. You love yourself so much that you want to let go of this suffering that you're causing for yourself. because it's only you that's suffering. The other person might not even know what they did or remember what they did, but you're the one still holding on to it. So because I love myself, I would not want to cause suffering to myself like this. So I let it go. I forgive. I learned a lesson. Doesn't mean I have to be friends with that person or go out or have any kind of connection or relationship with that person. It's me letting go of that pain, of setting it aside and moving forward with my life, because that's what I deserve and that's what I want.
Beautifully said. But we can't do that by bulldozing. We have to get, and Teal teaches this. I learned this from her years ago, that we can't get there by words and by people saying, you should forgive your mom, you should forgive your dad. Like, that's the right thing to do. It has to come from a pure place within you, as you said, by loving yourself. And you can't rush that process. You cannot rush the process of forgiveness. Otherwise it's false. And I've done that in my love, light, and laughter days when I was smoking weed every day. I'm like, I'm going to forgive my mother. This feels, and I'm like, this feels great. And I mean, it was, I had never, and it did in the moment. I hugged her in a way I never hugged her before, Ray. It was so soft. And I was like, man, this is what forgiveness is all about. But I had really, quite frankly, just suppressed all of the resentment I had, the anger I had. I became an expert, and the weed helped me, man. Push it all away. And I'm living in the moment. Right. It really genuinely felt like love. It felt, so, which was nice, because that was a feeling that I aspired to recapture, but more genuinely, you know, with more authentic.
Well, here's the thing, John. It was what you experienced. It's not that it wasn't genuine. It was genuine what you experienced. It just wasn't deep enough.
Yes.
And it's like there's layers to forgiveness. So sometimes the layer might be like this, and maybe you lowered it down to that, and you did let go of it, but there's still more to it. And sometimes we may actually feel like, oh, I'm for you, you know, but then it's like, and it feels right. We let some of it go, but then there's still that chunk that's still there. You know, it's like an iceberg. You know, sometimes when we forgive, part of the iceberg melts. Some of it falls off, and we feel lighter. We feel, oh yeah, that was good, and I'll let it go. But that iceberg is still there. You know, and sometimes forgiveness is a process.
I think
that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's not just a one-time, I forgive you, I'm sorry, okay, shake hands, and that's it. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years, and sometimes because of our traumas, sometimes it's not even the person that we're trying to forgive. Sometimes it's a projection that we haven't forgiven that person, but really it's somebody else in our, you know, like somebody, let's say a different relationship, or it could be somebody else. We can't forgive that person because it's not that person, it's somebody. Maybe we can't forgive ourselves, and we can't, but we're projecting it on somebody else, because that person is reflecting back to us that we hurt ourselves, and we can't really see that. We're kind of delusioned by that. You know, I kind of went through something similar to that. I was still upset at an ex, and I realized it really wasn't her I was angry at. It was myself, because I felt I betrayed my higher self. I betrayed my instincts, and I didn't listen to them. You know, I gave you know, the other person the benefit of the doubt, even though I knew they were lying, and I knew that but I was in, you know, saw it to myself. You know, I was in denial, but okay, so sometimes it's not always the person. That person there is, we can't forget them. Sometimes it's somebody else too. It could be a childhood trauma too. It could be that person that we can't forgive may remind us of a parent or somebody else who hurt us. And because we're not in touch with that subconscious trauma, we're projecting it on somebody else too. And then we can't understand why we can't forgive, or why we still have anger towards that person.
Thank you for that, man. I really like the way you framed the iceberg metaphor there, and that really, it gives that breathes a different life into me too, as far as my journey's concerned with healing my parental wounds and being kind to myself, and that not rushing or thinking I'm a bad son or anything like that, because I haven't gotten to that place where I can fully feel like I've reached that beautiful land of absolute unconditional forgiveness. I'm not there yet. And I would
And
love
it's
to, I would
okay.
love to be, but I'm just not, I'm not there.
And that's acceptable. You have to be allow that and be like, it's okay. It's acceptable that I can't forgive right now. It's acceptable that this pain is still there, that I'm still hurting. It's okay. To lie to yourself would not be loving, right?
Yeah.
If somebody cut their finger and was bleeding, that's like telling them, oh no, there's no cut there anymore. It's fine.
Thanks, man.
You know?
Needed to hear that, especially the iceberg thing, like, and saying that that one layer of healing was genuine, because it really
Yeah.
did. I mean, I felt such an exchange with my mom that years later I was like, I was just a weed, but it wasn't, man. That was a medicine that helped make that interaction possible. If I'm
Right.
honoring the true spirit of that interaction, that's really what it was. Because for me, cannabis helps me to release resistance. So in that moment, I had released so much resistance that I was able to embrace my mother in a way that I hadn't probably ever in my life. So, and now the goal has been to get back to that place without the help of that particular medicine, um,
Right.
and that's been my biggest challenge, because resistance is real, man, and resistance for me is like for most of us very, 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 very prevalent in my day-to-day everythings. So
Well, I mean,
I'm
one of the things is like what Teal said too, is, trying to understand the motives. Sometimes you try to understand the motives, the hurt behind the acts of unkindness, and try to maybe understand that too. And sometimes that could, bring some relief as why they did what they did. And, even though it wasn't right at all, was not right for you. And there obviously were better decisions, but, everyone's, it's one of those things that what they say, everyone's doing the best they can from their level that they're on. And sometimes, somebody who maybe goes through some of the things that we have on a spiritual level, you know, not to say that we're better than anyone else, but sometimes people are more unconscious than we are. And sometimes people will do things that we wouldn't ever think to do. And we think that, like, well, how come that person would do something like that? I would never do something like that. But, you know, that's who they are. And that's what they know. That's what they learn. That was their trauma. So,
oh yes.
I don't know.
No, I think you said it. You said it well, my friend. As have you done so very much during this particular podcast. So number 5 is alive and well,
I was in the
and
boat.
almost behind us. I think we're at a good place. Unless you have anything else, Ray, I'll remind the
I'm
listeners.
good. Just let us know if there's anyone else you want us to review. Any teachers out there that you like. So we'll maybe, not sure who we'll do next. Maybe Ralph Smart or Jack Cornfield. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll let the universe decide.
yeah. If we don't hear from you, we'll probably pick one of those two guys, because I think Ralph he's been anxiously waiting in the on deck circle, man. He wants to join the party. And
Right.
so just a reminder to the viewers / listeners, if you haven't already, liked us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your thing is, we are available on all of those social media platforms, 7 different streaming platforms as well. from Anchor to Spotify to Google Podcast to Overcast, a bunch of them, and adding whenever they're ready to add us. They were iTunes soon, hopefully in the next week or two. And then I feel like with 5 episodes behind us, with maybe after we do 3 more, Ray and I will start inviting people to our YouTube page, because we still only have 1 subscriber. I don't think anyone's really aware of our YouTube channel. If they are there, they haven't subscribed. So we will send out invitations when we feel maybe it's bingeable, and we would love your support there. If you could hit that little subscribe button and then maybe ring that little gray notification bell so you know when a new episode is available of the Bodhi Bros. We'll eventually be looking into doing other things. Ray and I talked about doing when the world and its engine gets restarted, maybe some really cool, exciting retreats, and maybe some Bodhi Bro challenges. I don't know, man. We're gonna get funky and have fun with it.
Location, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever, man. We're wide open to the adventure and to suggestions. So let us know, and we appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for being part of episode 5 and for joining us with the Ancient Ones and with Elephant Medicine. John with a J, wishing you all of the kindness from my heart to yours.
Namaste from Bodhi Ray.
And on that note, I will stop our recording in 3, 2, 1.